Thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Cecil Pendergrass. I'm the Vice Chair. I'm filling in this morning for our Chairman, Kevin Wayne, who is representing the Board of County Commissioners this morning at another meeting. And I'd like to start off this morning of our Lee County Zoning meeting and with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Don't sit down yet, Commissioner. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Where's the Godfather?
Thank you, and thank you again for joining us this morning. And Anthony, you got the first case?
Yes, sir. Good morning. For the record, Anthony Rodriguez, Zoning Manager with the Department of Community Development. First case this morning is case number DCI 2020-00018, the FM Brew Campus MPD. This is a request to rezone 22.15 acres on the northeast and northwest corners of Daniels Parkway and Commerce Lakes Drive from Airport Operations Plan Development, AOPD, to Mixed Use Plan Development, MPD, to allow for the development of up to 76,000 square feet of commercial uses, including a tap room, restaurant, retail space, event space, food truck prep area, offices, and industrial uses, including a brewery with indoor and outdoor storage. The hearing examiner recommended approval with conditions. There was one participant of record on this case, and staff is available to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Any questions for staff at this point? If not, we'll move to participants. Is Bethany McCliff here? Bethany? She is not here. We'll come back to the staff. Would the applicant like to respond to the board?
If you'd like to make a motion, we'll be quiet.
Okay, I'll come back to the board for a
I'll move
motion.
approval of the item as recommended by our hearing examiner.
Second. Any other discussions?
Just wanted to say thank you for the preservation of the wetland area there. It looks like a lot of conservation on that site, so thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussions from the board?
My only comment is I've seen what this kind of development did up in Tampa and what it meant to the accretive community around the airport. And I think everybody knows, the airport is extremely important to us. I think this will be a great addition, not only for the airport services and the people passing through, but the other residents and community around there. So we'll see how everything goes.
Thank you. Okay. Any objection to the motion? No objection. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Thanks for doing business, Lee County. Next case.
Next case this morning is DRI 2021-00001, Lee Trans South, aka Cypress Trace Center DRI. This is a request to amend the Cypress Trace Development of Regional Impact consistent with Florida statutes to remove approximately 8.28 acres under the ownership of Lee County from the boundaries of the DRI, to reduce the project intensity proportionally from 465,000 square feet to 416,230 square feet, and also to codify previously approved extensions to change the build-out date to January 21st, 2029. The hearing examiner recommended approval, and this hearing is open to the public. Staff is available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any questions for staff at this
We also have Lee Tran here, just in case any questions come up.
I have a question. Glancing at the staff summary here, I had difficulty trying to figure out who the applicant was, and when I saw that the agent for the applicant was Neil Montgomery, I was naturally prepared to vote no. So why do you write this stuff in code? Why didn't it say case number, Lee County, Florida, something? It's a DRI. It's different from what we are normally dealing with. DRIs don't come to us. They don't come to anybody hardly anymore. Just what is the history of this, and why is it? It is us, Lee County government, that has hired Miss Montgomery to convince us this is a good idea. Okay, give me a little, what's the history of this parcel and why is this here today? Why do we need to get out of this DRI? What bad things are going to happen if we don't pass this?
I'm going to let Ms. Montgomery address you on that one.
Oh, well, she'll get to earn her keep. Okay.
Good morning. For the record, Neil Montgomery, representing Lee Tran. The history of the DRI goes back quite some time, and
Well, don't tell me
to see I actually signed the first resolution approving it, so that dates me. And I worked for the county at the time, so I'm kind of come full circle on this property. When this property originally went through the DRI process, shopping centers, and it was called shopping centers, had to be a DRI. And so they just approved essential uses where the shopping center is and left this northern 14-plus acre parcel with no uses. They came back through several other amendments and allowed development, allocated a square footage to this property. Sometime much later, the county acquired the parcel you see outlined in red, and the building you see there now is your elections office. So that's an existing building, and the Lee-Tran is going to be to the east of that building or in front of it if you're coming off of 41. And why are you doing it? The answer is you don't really have a transfer station right now. You, the county, have been using the bus stops inside the bell tower, and the buses stop in the through lanes, and that creates some public safety issues. So since about 2016, the county and Lee-Tran have been looking for an appropriate site to be able to have a transfer station or a mass transit depot for their buses. After having tried a lot of different variations, it made sense to put it here. That's not per se a DRI use, and the government uses don't really need to be in a development of regional impact. So what we're doing today, all we're asking you to do is take the government property out of the DRI, reduce the square footage proportionately, leave everybody else with all their rights and things that they are entitled to, and let the county proceed. It's my understanding that the county has pursued a grant, and we're under a time frame to try to get this done in fulfillment of the grant obligations. So the actual use of the property that you'd like to do has already been previously determined when you applied for the grant. So since like the third amendment to the DRI, there have been time extensions. When the Blaze Pizza went in, we had to come and do a time extension. Now, in terms of process, there used to be really hard amendments. We used to have substantial deviations. We used to have notices of proposed change, and the legislature got rid of all those. Now it's just change. And unless you're doing something dramatic, there's really not a whole lot of authority to say no. So you've also changed your administrative process. For a while, it just went from the staff to you, and then a decision was made, and Michael can probably tell you when. Okay, the staff will send a staff report to the hearing examiner. The hearing examiner will review it and make a recommendation to you. So we're here today with a recommendation of approval from the staff, a recommendation of approval from the hearing examiner, and we're in compliance with 38006(7), which is the statutory provision on change. So that's a lot, but all we're doing is taking the red property out of the DRI and letting the government use its property for government uses.
Commissioners, I'm sorry to have taken the extra time here, but this is unique. I mean, we don't deal with DRIs and us initiating, getting in and out of them. I didn't understand what motivated this being here today. It's unusual for us to hire outside counsel, because I got some pretty smart boys and girls down there.
Now, they did tell me, why, you want to know why am I here?
Frankly, it was.
It scared you, didn't it?
Yeah, it was curious. Curiouser and curiouser, but thank you very much.
You did an RFP process, and they hired Cardinal, and I was part of the team, so.
Well, we know that we've hired a very competent lady. Thank you.
So, Neil, I know you spoke about the project being, Commissioner Mann, were you done? I'm sorry.
I'm done, thank you.
On the east side of this complex. So my question is, I don't know if you can answer this, or Robert Cody. I understand we're here today because the county took direction to have a transfer station in the past actions to seek this site out. Do you have a drawing or something that shows where that facility is going to be on this east side of this building, how it's going to impact the communities around it, like Seven Lakes and stuff?
Dan Craig can show you what the outline of the building is going to look like. I do know, I have heard that there have been some inquiries from the Seven Lakes. So when you see that skinny parcel there on the east, that's where it's going to be. So then you have the elections office, the preserve, a lake, a preserve, a road, and carports before you get to any residential. So the carports are over 900 feet away, so it's not going to have any impact
So
on
it's going
them.
to be closer
And as
to
you can
41, and it's still going to have the elections building between it.
Yes. So you see that site, it's got the Robin Stuckey building buffering anybody to the north. You've got the elections office buffering anybody to the west. And you have the big retail building with the loading area an employee parking behind it to the south. So it really doesn't have an impact from a compatibility standpoint on any residential.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for the applicant at this time? No, I have a question. Well, would it be Robert, or who would have, like, questions about the functions of the transfer station?
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, we would ask Robert Cody to
Yeah,
talk you
okay.
through the intended use of the property.
So, Robert, the facility, is this going to be basically overhangs, transfer people, drop it off, pick up, or is there actually any fixed buildings built there? Or what's it going to look like, so people understand what it looks like?
Okay, so in speaking, good morning, first and foremost, Commissioners. Robert Cody from Lee-Tran. If you see the more rectangular figure that's facing 41, that parking area there is where we will have an overhang structure. It'll be very minimal with regards to building. It'll just be comprised of a restroom for our patrons and a small cleaning area for our maintenance worker, because we'll have around-the-clock cleaning throughout the day of our restroom facilities and around that facility, similar to what we already have at existing locations like Rosa Parks, Edison Mall, as well as our Cape Coral Transfer Center.
What would
that'll
the
be
time
part
of
of it.
operations be?
The hours of operations will vary. Generally, our routes will start there, because they're at Bell Tower, about 6:30 in the morning to about 10:15 at night. And at any given moment, at the maximum amount of capacity of vehicles at that location, it'll be 7. So it'll be a 7-berth location, so you'll have 7 buses there with a maximum time of idle time of about 10 minutes, generally because of our routes in that area are relatively frequent, particularly those that operate on US 41.
Okay, great. Any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I could just real quick, Robert, I think there's a touch screen function to what's in front of you. If you could use it to maybe circle where we're talking about. Perfect. Okay, so you can see how the site we're talking about is actually bordered and buffered by big buildings on almost all sides, and then 41 on the other side. Okay, so real quickly, I had some questions about the facility itself. Is Bell Tower, do you know, is that the destination for many of the people who use that Bell Tower transfer facility? Or I guess tell me what you know about our clientele there, because I'm interested about what are we going to do to help people get across the street if they're trying to get to Bell Tower, or is Bell Tower not really the destination? I don't.
So to answer your first question, yes, the destination is all the shopping retail area for the service industry. Most of our patrons who utilize our routes down in that area are going to work at Target, Dave & Buster, the restaurants there, TGI Fridays at the Bell Tower location, or to the south side where Ross and the restaurants are at Cypress and US 41, to include Burger King and the new pizza place Blaze. So it's a lot of service industry workers, those frontline workers who are utilizing our service to go on both sides of US 41. In regards to the walkability to the traffic signal, we have worked with our design team to have a sidewalk go from our facility to the traffic signal there that I've outlined with the little squiggly line. It looks like a Q. That's to the destination of that traffic signal, and it'll be able, the individuals will be able to walk from one side of the road to the other.
Okay, I mean, I'll just share with you that that's one concern that I have is the amount of people that are going to be trying to cross 6 lanes of US 41, but I don't know that that weighs into today's decision specifically, but you know, that is a concern that I have, is making sure that we can help people get across 41 as they're going to, like you said, Dave & Buster's and all the retail.
Right, understandably so, and that's something that we're dealing with now with the individuals who work on the west side of US 41 now. When they get dropped off at Bell Tower, they have to cross over US 41 to go to Blaze Pizza, to go to Ross, to go to the Asian restaurant. So it'll be, regardless of if it's on one side or the other, it affects a portion of our ridership.
Okay, so what you're saying is we already have people making that trip, and do we have any accident reports or anything? Have we heard of any? I can't recall any, but.
No, I'm gonna knock on wood. This morning, as of today, we do not have any. I know our ridership has ticked up in that particular area. We average about 1,300 passengers a day in that south area, in that particular transition point.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr.
Any
Chairman.
other questions?
Robert, Robert, I know that you're continuing looking at tweaking your plan overall for transportation. This obviously should be accretive to that and stuff like that. Where are your other locations that people can access in this general area?
In that general area, we do not have any transfer locations outside of the bell tower. And the bell tower, as Mrs. Montgomery alluded to earlier, has many challenges with regards to safety and congestion because we literally block off a lane in front of one of our parking spaces to onboard 2 buses at a time. So in looking in the area, this area has been searched for property for 6 years, which predates me coming over to the county. It's going back to 2015, 2016 is when the grant was awarded to Leetran, and it's taken us up until 2021 to actually secure a location that's actually owned by the county, which saves taxpayer dollars in that essence, where we don't have to purchase property. But it's been a long time coming with regards to this project.
So it solves a problem in your overall plan that's been after for a while.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you
And
all.
We'll go back to, go ahead and call participants of record. So this is open to the public, so there's no rules of that, so we'll go ahead and call any public comment on this item at this time. Please state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Henry Amaya. I'm the general manager of Seven Lakes. As you say, we have a community of 1,096 units, and our main concern over there is the security of that area. And the new site is going to be a 24/7 security. They're going to have cameras. What is going to be the security for us as a neighbor, residential neighbor that is going to be behind that wall? As you see right here, we are located in all these areas. And, you know, having 7 buses over there, 10:30 p.m., you know, what kind of security problems is going to bring to our association?
So we don't take questions here, we just have, you have 3 minutes for comments.
So one of our concerns is the security. Another one would be the cleanness of the area, how often they are going to make sure that everything is clean, because, you know, we want to make sure that our residents have a clean place. New prospective buyers are going to come over there and be able to purchase, and we don't want that area to be a determinant for new buyers to come to our association. And I have a couple of the board members that want to come and make some comments too. Thank you.
It's up to them, it's a public comment if they wish to choose to speak. Please state your name for the record, please.
My name is Hugh Rips. I'm treasurer of the Board of Directors for Seven Lakes. And I was a little surprised this morning to see the project has now been delayed from 2023 to 2029 for completion. And so my question is, right now, we have a lot of traffic congestion along 41 during rush hour, in the mornings and in the evenings. And I think a traffic study was done, reading the documents, in February of this year. And I was going to say, is that a valid study since we were still in the midst of the pandemic? And now that it's pushed to 2029, what is going to be the impact of traffic from the bus terminal on that whole area? There are accidents probably once a month of cars crossing 41 from the one side over to Bell Tower and vice versa. So it's just, was the traffic study done in a timely manner? And now that it's pushed to 2029, is that traffic study even valid? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Good morning. My name is Ronald Meyer. I'm Vice President of the Seven Lakes Association, and I just have 2 statements. First one is the residents are concerned that Lee County Election Building may be moved, and they're hoping that it won't be, that it will continue to stay there. The next one is that we're a little concerned about the stormwater runoff of the hard service that you're going to be bringing in that particular area. You probably have a detention basin in the back of that property, and all of that stormwater runoff actually goes underneath the wall that's there, and it drains into our runoff area. And with the permitting that we have, we're concerned is that if we put any more hard surfaces in our facility, like pickleball courts or whatever, that we have a requirement to add detention basins, but it's also going to add volume to the stormwater runoff. We're concerned that that stormwater runoff will affect what we could do inside Seven Lakes, so we hope that you will take a look at that. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Any other Public comments? Come on up, sir.
Good morning. My name's Carl Triola. I'm the president of the board of directors of Seven Lakes. First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to come and give a brief statement. And I would also like all of you to, you're welcome, and we'd like to invite you to come and visit our community. It's probably one of the most beautiful oases in South Fort Myers. We just completed a $4 million project for our golf course, for brand new tennis courts that were redone. Our main concern has to do with a disruption in the traffic pattern, as a number of board members have mentioned. As all of you know, 41, there may not have been many accidents with individuals crossing 41, but in terms of the number of automobile accidents, they happen regularly. And so we're concerned about that. And just one final comment, we're really concerned about the security and the cleanliness. And so if it does go through, I hope you monitor that very carefully, because, you know, we take great pride in our community. And as I said, I would hope that all of you would come and take a look. We have one of the best, in my opinion, executive golf courses in South Florida. So we'd like you to come out and visit us and see what we have, because it is truly an oasis in South Fort Myers. Thank you.
Thank you for coming down, Carl. Any other speakers? Okay, this time we'll close public comment. We'll come back. Oh, I'm sorry. Step on up.
Good morning. I'm Susan Leonard, and I'm a resident of Fort Myers, and I have retired and to Seven Lakes. And a lot of us are very much concerned about homeless people. We have a group of homeless people living along the, where you see Seven Lakes. There's real lot of trees, and there's like a couple of places now that they're living there. And the other morning, going to the bank, there was like an ambulance back there and a fire truck, you know, because something had happened to one of them back there, I suppose. But that's our biggest concern, is that, you know, that's just a wall that separates us. And we're afraid that, you know, that we want to make sure that it's secure, and I'm sure that you'll make that a priority. But that's the biggest concern we have, is security. We want to feel like, you know, that that won't be a problem for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
just
sir.
for the historic record around here, the lady that just spoke, you know who she is? You know who her father was? Blake's Barbershop on First Street for 35
That's where I got my first haircut, by the way.
Yep, yeah.
I actually had hair at one time, but it was.
Susan, good to have you here this morning. Yeah.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Carol Reisner. I'm a resident of Seven Lakes. A lot of what I was going to say was covered by our board members and this other resident, but I would like to put on the record, I'm not speaking for Seven Lakes residents, I'm just speaking for myself, that as a resident of Seven Lakes, it's very convenient to have the elections center there. I walk there to vote during the election times. We're just really concerned that with parking and increased traffic, that may be impacted. And so I just want the commissioners and Lead Trans to take all of that into consideration. Also, let's see. We wanted to, they did also bring up the security. Like I said, a lot of us walk, I've walked over to the bell tower, to the other shopping centers, and just concerned about the homeless population increasing. I've been to the bus transfer station or depot downtown here, and know there are a lot of homeless people down there, and just want to know if we could not utilize the Edison Mall. There's a bus depot or something at Edison Mall, if we couldn't utilize that area to help with people who use the bus. So thank you very much, and that's all I had to say.
Great, thank you. Any other public comment at this time? Okay, we'll close public comment. We'll come back to the applicant. Do the applicant wish to address the board? Or, we can also talk about some of these issues that the residents have brought up. Anthony, go ahead.
Commissioners, just very quickly, I just wanted to give a brief overview in terms of the process and why we're here today. We're here today because we're seeking to remove this parcel from an existing development of regional impact. The subsequent development of this particular transfer facility on this process is subject to the administrative development order review process, during which many of the concerns raised by the residents today, particularly related to traffic and also stormwater, will be evaluated by county staff. I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention and allow members of the public to understand our process in terms of why we're here and what happens after.
So Anthony, I'm glad you brought that up, so maybe you can answer. So just to clarify some stuff here, so as far as traffic impact, those current buses now are currently on US 41 now. They're currently would be part of the traffic count, and they're also currently going to Bell Tower. So the traffic count would not change. This is moving the transfer station from the east side of the road to the west side of 41. Elections office, that's a separate election. Lee County Elections under Tommy Doyle, they're a separate election office than we are, and they're currently staying where they're at. That's up to the supervisor's election if they choose to move for some other reason in the future, correct?
Correct.
And the current area there now is currently paved, right? So we basically putting an awning over a current paved, so there's no, technically, no extra water shedding off the previous surfaces, correct?
Also
As far
correct.
as
Any change would likely be de minimis because this is already a paved.
And that would be going through the development order process, which would go through water management, and that would all be considered under that part. And as far as security goes, I'm glad somebody brought up about the homeless issues back there. So the one lady mentioned they're currently stationed or using the wooded area between the elections office now and Seven Lakes. That's something that obviously the sheriff's department would be happy to help you with. And also the property owner there, if they are aware of that, now they could maybe remove that wooded area. And if they remove the wooded area, the homeless people will go away. So this area actually would be more lit, probably more activity, which would drive the homeless people away to a certain point. I understand their concerns about bringing more homeless people there, but they usually wouldn't stay there. They would usually probably go somewhere else where it's a place to live, like in the woods there. So I'm glad they brought that up today so we could actually address that at a later time.
Sure. Mr. Chair, Ms. Montgomery did want to make a rebuttal statement as well.
Okay, thank you.
One last thing too, Mr. Chair, is can we just comment on the 2029 date? I don't believe that that's changing, but if somebody could comment on that.
Mr. Chair, I think they're referring to the extension. So they're referring to the DRI extension for ultimate build-out, but that's not the project schedule.
When is the project?
We can ask Mr. Cody to run through the project schedule with you, please.
Yeah, run through that, just so that everybody has a good understanding, if you can.
Mr. Chairman, thanks for bringing it up. So I think what you're referring to, the 2029 is the ending of the DRI that currently exists there now. And Robert, you can talk about the project itself now.
Absolutely. I'll cover 2 points, if you don't mind. With regards to the exotic vegetation, that's a part of the removal process when we move into the property, or if we're approved to move into the property. 2, there will be cameras around the facility. So it will be real-time cameras located all around our new structure there, and we'll have security. Generally, we operate security between 8 and 5 p.m., but we adjust it based on the demographic and what we're dealing with to ensure that we have all of our stakeholders in mind and their safety. With regards to the project, our project timeline is 2023. I think it was confusion with regards to the DRI being extended to 2029, but we plan on having this structure built in 2023.
Real quick, with this project creating more traffic than we currently see now on 41 of those routes of 140, the routes in that South Fort Myers area?
The ultimate goal of public transportation is to be a congestion mitigation, to reduce the number of vehicles on the road, to get more people onto transit, but it will not increase. If anything, it'll decrease the number of passengers utilizing the roadways, the number of cars on the roadways, with more passengers that we have.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for staff at this time? Okay, thank you. Ms. Montgomery, did you wish to address the board?
Yeah, I don't know if you still have lingering questions. If you don't, I'll sit down and shut up if you do. I just wanted to kind of remind you that this entire property was in a DRI that fully mitigated its transportation impact. 41 was 4-lane. They helped fund the 6-laning. Cypress was 2. They had to fund the 4-laning. I believe they had to do, Dave will probably tell me, a turn lane, extra turn lane on Cypress onto Summerlin. So this project impacts have been fully mitigated. And so in addition to the fact that we're not increasing traffic, this project provided mitigation because it was a DRI, unlike some of those surrounding properties. Stormwater does not go to the west, it goes to the south. And as you pointed out, it's an impervious area now, so you're going to just replace the parking lot with a different impervious area. So that'll be reviewed by both the Water Management District and the county at the DO stage. And I think, as you've already pointed out, there's exotics in the preserve area that will have to be cleaned out. And we've already addressed security by pointing out that there will be security cameras. And Edison Mall already does have a transfer station. So because of the county's desire to increase mass transit uses, we need to provide the opportunity to change buses in more than one location. So hopefully that answers the questions.
One last question, please.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, if may, there's nothing in the action contemplated here today that impacts or affects the elections office in any way?
No, Leetran has been, no. Somebody did raise a question about parking.
Well, there were several people who were concerned about that. And
Yeah, no, the elections office will remain. Parking for both the elections office and the depot will have to be provided, and it will not impair the elections office. And Leetran has been in coordination on future staging issues and things to coordinate with the elections office so that they don't impede access to the elections office.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Great, thank you. Great question. Any other questions from the board?
I just have a comment. The homeless issue is something that this board and the county has put a lot of work into. And it's not just a matter of relocating them. We have a great team within the county, the Sheriff's Office, Health and Human Services, not only to identify them, but our outreach services and wraparound services to help them. I feel very strongly about who we are as a community, a very caring community. If there is an issue, we will take it to heart, but it won't be the first time we probably address it. So I just want to let you know that it's important to us, and we're trying to address it, but also trying to help in that services. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, we'll come back to the board for any type of motion.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead then and move approval as recommended by the hearing examiner.
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? Any objections? No objection, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you all for coming down today. Next case, Anthony.
Okay. Last case this morning is case number CPA 2021-00001. This is an adoption hearing for the Lee Plan 2045 update. As you may recall, this is the culmination of approximately a 7-month process, at the outset of which the board directed staff to update the Lee Plan planning horizon to 2045 in order to maintain compliance with Florida statutes. The proposed amendments do update Lee Plan text, maps, and tables that reference the planning horizon, and also include other non-substantive changes. The board voted to transmit this particular case to the state reviewing agencies back in June of 2021. The state reviewing agencies all responded, and there were no objections or comments concerning the amendments. Therefore, staff does recommend that the board adopt the proposed amendment as attached to the staff report.
Great, thank you. Any questions for staff at this point?
So no changes have been made since we transmitted it then? Same thing we saw back in June?
There were 2 changes. If you notice on your summary sheet, there were 2 changes relative to 2 policies that were intended to address an internal inconsistency, specifically policy 7.1.2 and 7.1.6, again, to maintain internal consistency and non-substantive in nature.
Great. Any questions for staff? Any public comment on this item? No comment. We'll come back to the board.
I'll second his motion.
All right, well then I'll move approval as recommended by our staff.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hammond. We have a second by Commissioner Mann. Any other discussion? Any objections? No objection. Motion carries. Thank you. And that's our last case, and we are adjourned. Thank you.